Is it not working?
Golden.
Because I've all got you holding your smile for a long time. I love it. Here we are. Right, I'm Kerry Musington, founder and director of Mind Over Matter Project, Suicide Prevention, and tackling the underlying issues of depression. Today we have special guest, Farisai, and I'm not going to attempt to say your last name.
Dzemwa.
So I'm going to actually just share the screen so we can let everybody know what this is about today and why you brought us here today. So if you can see on the screen, Healed Road to Recovery on Amazon. You've made it to Amazon. Yeah. The Road to Recovery is your book. I will bring the screen back out again. Healed Road to Recovery. Is it Chirama? Is a traditional? Is a tradition that is best described as a game of bonding between brothers and sisters-in-law in Zimbabwean Shona culture. For Farisai, it escalated into a violation of the very essence of the womanhood and all it stands for. Sexuality violated by a brother-in-law who should have been looking out for her. Farisai's life, health, and function in society became a tangle of spiderweb, one she shrugged to detangle. A ripple effect were endless. Farisai, first of all, congratulations to you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean, you're not just Farisai, you're Farisai. with a title of now book author. And how we came to know you is started off with JD Lifestyles and Fitness, and you became working out on health recovery on that side. And then we pulled into, you came with us over to Mind Over Matter, and we actually talked about the recovery side, and we've worked quite well. I've had an interview with you, you've had an interview. No, not quite frankly, this is the very first proper interview, but now you're coming with a title. Wow.
I'm still trying to get used to that.
Congratulations. I mean,
thank you.
You know what, for me, your book, for those that don't know you, they've never heard of you or may have never heard of this new book that you're doing. What inspired you to write that book? I know we've got a little snippet, but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, actually, when I started writing the book, I didn't even know I was writing it. It was me trying to express myself when I felt I didn't really have anybody to express myself to. I was going through a very difficult time when I started writing it. And I had been trying to speak to people that I believed would listen, but then who turned out not to. If I go right to the end, I've since learned that a lot of them didn't want to hear because they were too afraid to deal with what I was actually talking about. So to them, it was kind of a coping mechanism to pretend it wasn't as bad as it was, and to tell me that I'm this strong person they know who's always dealt with everything. And so they expected I'd be able to deal with this particular problem. So I started writing because I was soul searching. I was searching in my mind, I was searching in my heart. What the hell and how the hell I got where I was at that point. Just briefly, I had been in a car accident, a very bad car accident, which nobody caused but myself. I wasn't focused enough on the driving as I should have been. And that is because I had a lot going on, as I've said, I had a lot going on in my head. that I just went off and drove into the wall, trying to park right in front of my flat. And I went into the wall. I sustained very bad injuries on the shoulder, on the knee, on the ankle, and the back. And after ringing 999, I was in the middle of a small village in North Wales. I was told the roads to get to where I was were not that good, and it would take at least an hour to get to me. And so, yeah, I was in really bad shape. And to make things worse, when I did get picked up by the ambulance and was taken to a hospital in North Wales, they refused to admit me because they assumed I was an asylum seeker, no documents. They assumed that I would need to pay for my treatment. So they said to me, we're not admitting you because we don't know who is going to foot the bill of your treatment. So I was driven straight back to my flat with a packet of painkillers, cocodamals, and that's it. They didn't even do the checks that they should have done. They just told me, oh, we have done an x-ray, you don't have broken bones, so you should be okay in a week or so. Just go and take painkillers. Considering my leg had twisted, I just couldn't see how I was meant to cope. And I was on my own in that little flat. And so I tried to reach out to friends, I tried to reach out to family. I have this tendency of always having a smile on my face. And I think sometimes my voice carries a smile as well, even when I'm going through a tough time. So it's difficult for people to gauge, when I'm really struggling. An interesting thing is that permanent smile on my face and in my voice has also been a coping mechanism that dates back to when I was about 12. Because believe it or not, this accident was a combination of activities that started when I was 12. And that is abuse. I was groomed from the age of 12 by a close family relative. And he was that clever, he actually waited until I turned 16 before he went the step further to sexually abuse me. So over the years, people never actually knew when I was happy or when I was not. People just believed I was always happy because one of my coping mechanisms was put a front, always act like everything is hanky-dory, always act like you can conquer the world, always act like nothing phases you. And unfortunately, people mostly believe what they see. And so, yeah, I kind of did that to myself, which has been very difficult to acknowledge, but writing the book helped me to acknowledge that. I guess that's in brief what the book is about and why I wrote it. I wrote it as a way of self-expression to myself. And I think at the back of my head, I hoped one day members of my family would read it and get to understand me. That was priority for me, especially my son, because I didn't really tell him the things that actually culminated in me driving into a wall. But my son found out about the book before I actually realized myself that I was writing it. And he said to me, Mom, you never told me you were writing a book. And I looked at him and I was like, what are you talking about? And he says, yeah, every time I come in here in the living room over there, you always like this on your phone. I wrote the book on my Google, what do you call it? Google Docs. So she's like, "You always like this." And I'm always wondering, why is it every time? And I couldn't really walk or go anywhere that time because I was recovering from this accident. And so he used to leave me all the things that I needed close to me. And he would come back and find them in the same position. The only thing that was moving was me on my phone. And so he got curious and picked up my phone one day and read. And it was like, what? Is really my mom. So yeah. Then I decided I should finish the book with his encouragement, of course, because he said to me, I never knew who you were until now. And I understand so many things now that I didn't understand before. And I think it's important that people get to know you and understand you, because I've witnessed you being accused, being treated this way, that way, unnecessarily and unfairly. And I think if people get to know the truth behind your presentations, maybe some people will forgive you. Maybe some people will start treating you differently. Maybe some people will accept you and accommodate you in their comfort zones. So yes, I then continued.
Do you know what, Farisai? Did that change your relationship between you and your son? Him saying
definitely, that? Definitely. I had been worried about my son because some of the things that he witnessed happening to me tormented him so much that he shut down. A great part of him, I watched him shut down slowly. I didn't know how to help him. And him reading what he read and then demonstrating so much understanding to me when he spoke to me about it gave me hope that, you know, he could actually start to open up again, to me especially, but hopefully to the world. It's still a journey, but I'm so happy that he picked up my phone because that has been therapy for him as well. And it's really brought us together. Me writing the book, he's been encouraging. He's contributed actually to the book. That cover you see there,
I was going to answer that.
did the graphics. So yeah, it's really brought us a bit closer.
Hello. So what's the graphics about? It seems like a whole world on your
shoulder.
That is what he, he said that I always looked like I was carrying the whole world on my back. So that is what that represents.
Yeah. Are you doing signatures? Have you been practicing? Because I really want my copy with my signature, with your signature.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping this coronavirus thing is going to listen up a bit, because I would like to do like a proper,
you'd be pleased to know it is.
I can sign books for people. I really would like to do that because I appreciate every person who's buying this book. Not necessarily from the perspective that I'll make money from it, but from the perspective that they will start to understand me. And better still, they will start to understand a lot of people. While I was writing the book, I've been researching and I've been talking to different people. Those that follow me on Facebook know that this book should have been out probably early last year. But as I have been talking to people, I actually found myself growing and adjusting my own mindset to some of the things. So I was able to rephrase some of the stuff. And so the book will actually help a lot of people understand presentations about a lot of people. Because one thing I've noticed is my coping strategies, a lot of people are actually nodding their heads saying, you know what, that's what I've been doing. That's what I did. And, you know, I'm also working on that. And I've started working with some people as well, sharing how I coped. And hopefully some more people will tell their stories.
I have to say, incredible. I mean, I am so privileged to encounter you, and it's been, I think, going way past a year now, isn't it? So
Yeah.
to watch your road to recovery, you started off as just a woman that was basically cocooned. That's how I felt about you. I felt that you had an expression, you had something to say, you needed to speak to people. You started this community hub, and then you went on to um, setting up a national, international domestic violence and abuse uh, out outreach. Really, it was. I call it an outreach. It was a vocal voice, and it gave a voice to many other women, and I think there was men there as well. I'm not sure, but it gave a voice to people about abuse and domestic violence. But it's not just the abuse. We're talking about grooming. We're talking about child abuse. You can use the word child abuse. I can use the word rape. It's the same thing. And I know this conversation is very triggering to people. And although we're listening to your success, people's mind will automatically be thinking about their own ordeal whilst we're doing this live. I'll say to you, you're not alone in this battle, guys. And if you do need some help after the things that you're hearing here, that's what we're here about. We're saying we've done it, we've been there, we get you. We're going to show you a way forward. That's why coming together and uniting. You got up there, you started, for me personally, she's a role model. She's a leader. Let's follow her. But then there was you see, the relapse was coming in. You were pure to relapse. And I could literally see that we're just about to get somebody else coming in. Sorry, this happens. It's real life. I could literally see that you were relapsing. You were in a sticking point of depression. Even though you were front face out there in the community, teaching other people, come on, take your life back. Behind closed doors, you were still suffering. You were suffering from ridicule. You were suffering from people making allegations and judging you because you were different, because you were standing out, because you were taking ownership of your life.
Yeah.
What are some of the stigma that was attached to that? Because I remember kicking you distinctly up the backside.
I will never forget that day. That day, you know, some people say there's no God, but I'll tell you today, that day was one of the biggest confirmations that God is there. I was really down. And she'd been messaging me saying, oh, where are you? Where are you? I just disappeared. And what I had decided was I was getting, you know, like my inbox.
Sorry.
Stop talking about this. Stop doing this. Stop writing a book, shaming yourself, embarrassing yourself, you know, all these things. But I had made up my mind that this book needed to be written and needed not to be diluted, because some people were saying, if you're gonna write the book, maybe don't include this, maybe phrase it this way. And I was hearing voices from everywhere trying to stop me, and I'm thinking, I can't do this. So I kind of said to myself, I'm gonna disappear from Mother Earth, and I'm gonna write this book in hiding. But what actually happened is I discovered that I was finding my strength and my courage to write the book by engaging with people. And when I isolated myself, believing that that would help me finish the book, I became quite low. I felt like the walls were closing in on me. And I had been ignoring messages, Kerry sent me several messages. But the interesting thing is, right from the start, Kerry got me right from when we met. She saw right past my face, my makeup, my smile. You know, she would drop in hints. And I was kind of scared of her because I kept thinking she's gonna flip and take my shield off, and I'm not ready. But she was so kind in the way she did it. So I was kind of thinking, can you go away, please? And but in the next second, I mean, but I actually need your kindness. Go away, stay. Go away, stay.
Yeah.
You know,
Self-sabotage.
I don't know if people get this kind of feeling that I'm describing. You want somebody around, but you don't want them around because of the fears that they might actually break you.
Mhm.
I had schooled myself to believe that I was unbreakable. I used to say to people, bring whatever you want to me, I'll deal with it and I'll keep going. But somehow Kerry got into a hidden section of me that I never actually considered anybody could get to. And that really scared me.
What was that?
I think there was a time probably maybe when you thought I didn't like you at all. And maybe I didn't, but not in a hate kind of way. I didn't like your ability to, to open me up.
Quite interesting, that. It's very
There's a day that you rang me and you texted and I said I was busy.
Mm.
I said I was at work and I said I wasn't allowed to use my phone. And she kept texting and she was like, I'm not going to let you. I can sense you are going down. I can sense you getting depressed. I can sense. And I'm like, how does she know these things? She's not even here. And I was doing my live videos of diversion, baking and cooking and all these things, trying to let people believe that I was not there live, but I was actually busy. You know, I was trying to fill that social media space with things that I was doing so people wouldn't suspect what was going on.
You
But
did.
Kerry saw right.
You digressed. You got off.
I'm gonna ring you. And I said, I'm not allowed to use the phone. He says, well, you do get breaks, don't you? I'm like, okay then. Yeah, ring me on my break. And she talked and I tried everything I could think of to fob her off, but I couldn't.
You couldn't. I think one of the things about all of us when we come together is about pure honesty. We
Yeah.
you know, that you say judgmental. We are judgmental. We can't help that. We have the ability to be keeping safe. And so what the agenda is, when you require that people don't want something from you, they just want to see you well. That's where you allow someone to come into your space, or you don't. It's called, what you did is self-sabotage.
Yeah.
And I recognize that as self-sabotage when you go distant, when you go quiet. I know that you put that mask on. One minute you'll be Batman, next minute you'll be Superwoman, next minute you'll be somebody else. I know that you're quite creative in all avenues and you're very good with relating to other people in regards to around about all of this child grooming and abuse and domestic violence. Tell me, I'm going to ask this question. Even though I said don't promote method, we are going to put a disclaimer: do not do what you have heard on here today. Yeah. When you got into your dark space before you get identified, you put out there that you had a car accident. At that point, your lowest point, that was your lowest point. Was that intentional?
No, the accident was actually not my lowest point. Funny enough. Some people have said I'm crazy. I actually say the accident was the best thing that ever happened to me, because that is the day, as I was driving, as I could see I'm going into the wall and there's nothing I can do about this. And it must have been probably 5-10 seconds, I'm not sure. but I saw a slideshow of my whole life.
Flashbacks.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, 90% of my life, I have been acting, I have been faking. Nobody knows me. And I remember saying, God, so I'm going to die.
Kind of dead.
You're not going to know me at all.
Only thing you can probably do in the game is do Mario.
Sorry, can you guys mute your mics, please? Whoever that is, I apologise for this. This happens as real life. We don't hold.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah, I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna die. My mom is not even going to know who I am. My family, my friends, the whole world. I've been painting this picture to people. That is not true. And look, this is it. And I said a prayer in those seconds. Trust me, you can live a lifetime in a matter of seconds. I said, God, give me a second chance. I really need people to see me and to know me, the real me, not this acting that I've been doing. Just give me that one chance. And trust me, I will do those things that you meant me to do on planet Earth that I've been unable to do because I've been too busy painting pictures. I've been too busy acting this way when I should have been that way. Just give me one chance. And I say it's the best thing that happened to me because that's I would say maybe the first time I was really honest to God. I was honest to myself. And he answered that prayer. He gave me that second chance.
Oh,
My lowest point was when I was pushed back into the flat from the hospital the 5th time in the space of 3 weeks of trying to be admitted in hospital, and each time being told, we still don't know who is going to pay for your treatment. We still don't know who is going to. I was living in a flat that was on a 3rd floor, and I've got a leg that is swollen, like they weighed my leg. It was 7.5 kgs, my leg, just the leg. And I'm being dropped off outside the door. I had to drag myself on my bottom up the stairs to go to the 3rd floor. And that time, that day, the 5th day, I thought, I can't do this anymore. And as much as I've asked you to give me a second chance, God, I don't think I knew what I was talking about. I don't have the strength. I don't have the courage. I don't have the support. And I was like, I should have just allowed you to take me when I had the car accident. That was my lowest point because I don't believe in life ending just because you decide you want it to end. And yet I was at that point. So that's the day that I consider in my whole life to have been my lowest point.
And your highest point?
My highest point was over 2 years later when I walked into hospital on my own with just a walking stick, faced my consultant, and his eyes were like this wide because they had all been telling me, you're never gonna walk again, your leg is never gonna be fixed. You either going to end up always in a wheelchair or you're always going to have these the crutches that have supports on the back, and 2 of them, and that's the best you can hope for. And I spent 8 months fighting to get accepted to get a surgery on me. I had second opinions in 3 different places, and they were all telling me it's impossible, it's impossible. And each time I'd leave crying, but saying, you're not God. You don't tell me when I'm gonna die or when I'm gonna be disabled or any of those things. You need to do your job and you're gonna do it if it's the last thing I do. So yeah, that day after going through a 90-day challenge where I walked in the park, where I danced to give they said I lost a lot of muscle strength or a lot of muscle in my leg. And so I wasn't able to control it. I used to just fall. It would just flop and I would fall. I had a lot of falls. But I still believed I could fight it. And when they gave up on me, they discharged me from physiotherapy. I said I was gonna take up the fight myself. And the 90-day challenge, I shared it on JDA Fitness. And that's when I was getting support from Kerry, from a gentleman called JD, and a whole lot of other people in that group. And they watched me walk in the park, videoing myself, sometimes crying, and then dancing and acting all strong. And when I finished the dance, I sit down, I would cry like a baby because I'd been in so much pain. But it did work.
Good.
It's back in my leg. And it actually ended up helping me with my back as well. And so, yeah, the day the doctor saw me walk in the hospital and I told him I drove myself, his eyes were like this. That was priceless.
I'm going to ask anybody that I know there's questions galore. So who'd like to answer some of these questions to Farisai? Anyone got any questions prepped, ready? I had a lovely comment that was said from the, go ahead, Susan, and I'll get to the comment in a second. Go ahead, Susan. Unmute your mic, sweetheart.
Can I speak?
Yeah, just Mary or Susan, who's just about to, hold on a minute.
I just want to say to Fari, thank you for being brave. You opened doors for a lot of us, if I may say, because it's true that we live a false life, just to make people happy when it's not really you, and that's true. And when you die with like false pretense. And I just want to say you did a good job, and you feel free. It's like you have made yourself free, because if you live a false lie, it's like you are in a prison, in a cell. You are locked in somewhere where you feel guilty yourself when you're on your own, because sometimes we can talk to ourselves. I don't know if others do, but I do. I think myself, what the hell was I doing? What was I trying to do? That's not real me. But it's like you set yourself free.
Yeah.
You just feel free. When you are free, you are free. So thank you so much for that, and well done.
Thank you.
That's all I wanted to say.
Definitely, I feel free.
Susan?
I was going to say, do you think you'll be writing another book?
Definitely, it's already started.
Oh, wonderful. So would you say now that you sort of like see yourself as an author now?
Well, I hadn't actually thought of it that way, but what I was seeing myself was somebody who is going to finish what they started. And if not, then maybe teach other people to carry on the storytelling. This is the subject of abuse is a global pandemic, and it's not gonna end just by me. It's gonna be something that needs to continue. And one best way of people being aware is by people telling their own stories, especially telling it yourself. Because I'll tell you something, when I was writing the book, somebody said to me, because I said to somebody, it makes me emotional a lot of times. And somebody said to me, why don't you just pay a ghostwriter and have them write the book for you?
Mhm.
Spoke to a few, and I quickly dropped the idea because each one I spoke to was already editing my story before I even finished telling it. And I think edited stories actually prevent people properly understanding what the realities are. I know that abuse reality is different from person to person, but a lot of the books that I've read that are supposed to be professional books that help people, they kind of end up pushing you all into one box where you're expected to see abuse the same way, to respond to it the same way, and so recover from it using the same pathways. But my experience is everybody's different. Everybody's pace is different. So I think we should continue telling our stories. I'll keep writing and keep encouraging people to do the same as well.
You're right.
But I like the idea of you calling me an author.
You are.
Yeah, because for me, that's what you definitely
Wow.
are. So maybe if you did a bit more visualization of like, yeah, of seeing yourself that way, because I'm already seeing you that way. I must say, I do find the cover is incredible. It's a beautiful cover. So well done if your son helped to combine and design that. It's an excellent design. And I say that because for women, that seems to be something that we do. We carry the world on our shoulder. So I think it's a really great representation of what we go through as women. So my other question, because I had a little bit of a questions written down. All right. So my other thing was what I was going to ask you was it costly to actually produce to actually produce the book?
Well, yeah, producing a book is costly if you take the quick way around it.
Okay.
Because you end up paying for just about everything. I thought the most difficult part of writing a book was actually writing it.
Right.
But when I put my last full stop on the book and thought, now I can get the book out, I can get it published, I had to learn there are all sorts of other expectations that are out there that would make the book meet the minimum requirements for it to be able to be placed on the platforms where you sell your books. You know, places like Lulu, Amazon, even libraries. And as well, I wrote my book when we were fast transitioning into virtual lives. So there were requirements as well that I needed to meet. And because I had been unemployed for 3 years recovering from my injury, I didn't really have money.
Right.
It had to be the long way around. If I had had money, I probably would have done it like this, by paying people to do the different things. But it became longer. I'm actually glad because it's made me learn a lot about
absolutely
published.
Yeah.
Of which the next book that I'm going to write will probably not be that difficult. Generally speaking, producing a book is expensive, I think, because the
right.
But so we're not deter people from writing a book. Roughly, was that because we don't want finance to stop anyone from achieving. Yeah.
No.
So really, you know, what price range did you actually pay out from the top price range? Because we could say minimum from. And then also I'm also aware that Angus is waiting to talk and ask you a question, and also Lou, where's she gone?
Lorraine had a
yeah, I don't know where she's gone.
Louise, Lorraine, I think I saw Louise, Lorraine, and somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was going to say there are some places where they'll say they'll publish your book for you. something like 100 and something pounds if you do everything yourself. But what I learned was that they'll just put it there as it is. And if things go wrong, you will have to deal with it yourself.
Like spell check and things like
And if you're not, if you're not an experienced writer, that could then knock down the value of your book, the meaning of your book. And I think when I reflect, I think it could also drastically knock down your confidence, because then the book will not be received as you actually want it to be received. And I think people like that, I don't know, I think it's wrong, because that's like just taking somebody's money and then placing something out there to people when you're a professional, instead of actually saying, you know what, here you could have done this, here you could have done that.
So what advice would you give?
I would say go for the middle bit. Maybe at some point I might
ask Farisai, and she's going to show you. She'll even set up a workshop so you can learn the books. And
I was just about to say, maybe I'll do a workshop at some point and give tips. I found out the hard way, and trust me, it was really stressful. You go online and you ask a question and millions come up. I could say, thank God for COVID-19, and I was at home and I had all the time in the world to be, but it got to my eyes, it gave me headaches sometimes.
Someone's got their mic, someone's talking in the background, so we just mute your mic so we're not speaking. That'd be great. Farisai, another question. I'm going to ask Angus. Please do fire away with your question, and Lorraine will take your question afterwards.
I got it as well.
Susan, I think that's your household. Thank you. So, Agnes, you had a question for Farisai. You'd have to unmute your mic, my love.
I can't see Agnes. Where is Agnes?
She's right next to you on my screen. She's now coming.
No, no, I don't have any question. I was thinking, because I was thinking how to write a story, because I start a story, but I never end it.
All right.
So I'm listening carefully to say if I have to continue to end it or I have to stop it, because as Farisai is saying, it's a lot of job, lot of things to put it in. So, but I don't have a question for now. I don't have a question.
Two things I'll say to you, Agnes, is your story is your own to tell. How long it takes is up to you. I wouldn't give up. I think if you have taken pen to paper, you have a story to tell, and I would not encourage you to give up on it. What I can suggest is write as much as you can when you can. But when you stop, don't throw that book or that notebook away. Put it somewhere visible where once in a while you see it and remember you have a story to tell. And remember what I'm saying to you today. Your story means something to someone out there. One person, good enough. Just one person. I believe every individual on this planet was meant to touch one person's life. And your story, if you went as far as starting to write, that story is meant for somebody. Even if it takes you 10 years, don't worry about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what? Excuse me.
Cynthia, I haven't finished.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, she's talking to me. You, Sarah, we need to meet somewhere in Coventry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
Thank you, Fancy. Yeah, because I start writing my story. I think I did 14 pages, And
Yeah.
as you said, we have a friend. She's more than 70.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at this age that she published a book, Rosemary Crowley. For all she went through, thinks she was young. So I will take your advice and try to, because my story is more, as you were saying, there is sometimes that someone that you can call God or something speak to you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I see what I went through in my life, I think that someone or something was with me, and I need to testify for what this spirit, this man, this woman did for me, and is what I start. And I think I stopped 2 years ago, but as you are motivate me to go back to what I start doing, and I will go. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I am so glad that I have inspired you. I, like you, many times I started to tell my story, tried different things, and many times I stopped. But like I said, I had this little box where I always threw those things. I remember there was one little notebook that I dropped at my friend's one time when I ran away from my own home, from abuse. And I went to a friend's house for time out, and I bought a little notebook. When I got there, I realized that I hadn't brought my usual notebook. So I bought a little notebook and I wrote away. And then I forgot that little notebook in my friend's house. And I remember she rang me and she said, I didn't know you could write that well. And I'm thinking, I don't write well. I just tell my story. So yeah, even if you stopped it two years ago, you can still pick it up.
Right, Lorraine's been, we'll do Lorraine and then we'll go to Louise. Lorraine's been waiting for such a long time. Sorry, thank you, Lorraine, for being patient.
It's all right. I've been learning, and actually I had the same question like Mama Agnes asked about. So what was, how were you writing? Because I've got 14 pages, but I haven't finished. So yeah, I think you've helped me with that. First things first, I got your book, and congratulations. Congratulations, because it's a book full of twists and turns. When I started reading it this morning, because it arrived late yesterday, so I started reading it this morning, but I couldn't just put it down. I'm already nearly finishing. Yeah. I'm nearly finishing. I'm remaining with chapter 18 and 19 at the end. Yeah, but because it's a book that you can't, once you start, you can't put it down. It's just amazing. So yeah, I had a few questions actually. I've learned a lot about from Loverboy, from your son, from I know, right? It's exciting, and I would encourage all of you, if you don't have a copy yet, it's not even a marketing. I'm not a marketing manager or anything like that, but it's
Loverboy.
Yeah. It's such a very interesting book. This is why I wanted many people to kind of like, most of my friends to come and learn about it from the, your son's teachers and all of that. It's really, it has touched on a number of topical issues, things that we need to be talking about. So thank you so much for bringing the conversations. I think it will definitely bring the conversations. Just for example, the issue of hospital that you've been talking about is things that people need to reflect on and see how we can bring real change, because we don't want people to go through again the same process, like you are saying, living in top floor, but then just left on the door. What is that?
Yeah, so I really thank you for telling the story as it is. But I had a question around like your mother to say, did you send her a copy or something like that?
Yeah.
And yeah, it wasn't like serious things because of just how I have been touched. Actually, there's a page which I can even show you. I've written, I think it was page 51. Hang on a minute. Yeah, where I've added
that fast.
I've added stuff to say you are not alone. So it was that story. Yeah, after I read the story on page 51. And if you see, I underline books when I'm writing. I, you know, highlight, circle, paint, and yeah, so there's just a lot that I was kind of like relating to, and it's so powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. And
in terms of sending my mom a copy, I'm still debating whether to do it or not. Because though I asked for her permission to write the story, because there's some sensitive issues in there that went on between me and my mom, that went on between me and my like immediate family, right up to it being published. For starters, she's getting on age-wise. So reading the book, I'm not sure if she would be able to read it. I've been debating on how she can actually avail to it. And somebody has advised me that I could actually get the book on an audio. I really would like her to listen to the book because it will clear air. She doesn't realize it now. I mean, she doesn't realize that this book could clear air between me and her. It's about how I'm going to convince her to listen to it, because I strongly believe that me and my mom will be in love again when she listens to this book.
I strongly believe that everybody's going to be talking about your book. I mean, it's going worldwide, isn't it? And I don't think that somebody could resist but read that book when they know who you are. For us, we've got the pleasure of meeting you now, and so therefore got to get your book, haven't we? We've got to support you. We want to know a peep of your life. We want to see what's in there. So I think, you know, the universe will align what it needs to align as it when it needs to. I'm going to go mindful of the time. Louise, go ahead.
My question was kind of similar to what Lorraine just said about have you sent a copy to your mum, but it was more along the lines of, did you at any point feel, okay, now this is all in a book and everybody's going to know everything? Did you feel scared that everyone was going to know everything, or were you just so relieved that you were getting it out there? Because I don't know, I think I would kind of like, you're relieved because you're getting it out of your head because you're penning it all down, but then you're sharing it with the world.
Isn't that funny? I wrote down the word repercussions.
Yeah. Did you feel scared at any point? Did you think, oh?
Yes, I did. I've been scared right through the whole process. Trust me, it's me sharing the story is really making myself extremely vulnerable. I thank God that I learned this art of keeping.
You're so used to having this
because even now,
shield away.
You know, if I was like Fiona, I'd probably be red in the face. No offense, Fiona. I did a video yesterday where I was talking about this little book of anecdotes. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, just about. Oh, let me just put it on else. Okay. Do it again. You got to speak though, I think.
Say something, Farisai.
Can you see it?
You got to speak. Speak, Farisai. Keep talking while you hold it there, and that'll pick it up.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying this yesterday. I did a video about this little booklet.
Okay.
There was a time when you kicked me in the backside when I was going down, and I read somewhere that sometimes you've got to be your own cheerleader and you've got to speak positive to yourself. You've got to speak affirmations. You got to feed your soul yourself. And I started talking myself. If you follow me on Facebook, on the story bit, I always, every day, I put little quotes and stuff like that. Probably a lot of people would think it's mainly for people out there, but a lot of it is me talking to myself, me trying to encourage myself and reassure myself when I'm feeling like, oh my God, because I have been experiencing a lot of that. So I ended up getting a collection of some of the quotes that I was saying to myself and had it printed. And why I did that is because I had started to think, I can't get published. Who am I? I'm nobody. Who am I to think I can be an author? So I had somebody print this little thingy, this little booklet. And when I looked at it, I was like, well, these are my quotes and it is a book. So why can't I be, a published author? And I picked up again and I continued. So yeah, it's scary telling your own story, especially if it's not a story about you being flying high and being a celebrity and all that. If it's sensitive issues, it's not easy, it's scary. But what kept me going was the fact that I believe it will open people's eyes. I believe even if it doesn't totally change the status quo when it comes to abuse, it will at least initiate people starting to think, you know what, life is worth fighting for. Because I'm living proof that I have put up a fight. Not easy, but well worth it, I would say.
Healed Road to Recovery. Farisai. Let's all try and pronounce your name again so I can get that right.
Dzemwa.
Dzemwa.
Dzemwa, yeah.
Ah, Dzemwa. Okay, yeah. Because when we look at the Z's and stuff, when we're coming from an English translation, it's kind of complicated for.
Yeah. Sorry. And what is the meaning? Because those people, their name have always a meaning.
Yeah. Are you sure you want to know what it means?
Yeah.
Okay. Dzemwa it means a clown.
A clown.
Yeah. Ah. I'll tell you the story behind the name. Part of my book talks about these cultures that damage us, that ruin us, and that kind of control how we see things. And history has it, as it's been told to me, has it that my grandfather was stubborn like me. Speak his mind, he would fight for what he believed in. And because of that, he kind of broke some of family's traditions by doing certain things that traditions didn't permit. And he kind of got excluded. So he ended up working in a different country in Mozambique. And apparently his coping mechanism was always joking around, making everything look funny. Even things that are not funny, he would twist them and just make them look funny. And so Dzemwa is actually not Zimbabwean, it's Mozambican. It means clown. And that became his nickname where he worked. He worked in the mines in Mozambique. So they called him Dzemwa because he was always clowning around. He was always being funny. So when he came back home, because he was separated from everybody else, he decided he was going to change his name and start using his nickname as his second name. So we kind of became a separate kind of extended family, if that makes sense. So we didn't have to feel that we are excluded from the main body of the family. And that's how the name came about. So yeah, I try to be funny, but I don't know if I'm as good as my grandfather.
Thank you.
Kerry, I did well asking the meaning of that.
That's a good question, Angus. That's a good question. Fiona, because Fiona, we're taking under our wing, and we like I said, we're all here, part of getting to know. I'm meeting new people here today, so thank you, Fatima, Cynthia, Chidi, these unusual names, you know, and Serenek, Cafe. I can't see the words. I'm not going to attempt to say your names because I don't want to make a fool of myself. I want to say thank you for joining me. Your experience about being here and being present with Farisai today, I'm buzzing, Farisai. I feel like you're famous to me. And you are a book author, and welcome to the Book Author Club. You know, you're way ahead of where many of us would like to be, me included. When you came out with your book as an individual person that experiences a lot of emotional disturbances from my own point of view, like a thought process. That's all it is. You can get negative, you can get positive, you can be inspirational, you can be, oh, I can't do it now. Look at her, she's ahead of me. What I felt when you launched your book was, I'm lacking. I'm slacking. This woman's left her history. She's left her legacy. And I ain't there yet. But I'm telling you, I know a woman that can. And so if I have any questions or anybody else has any questions, we know we can come to you now.
Yeah.
You are ahead. You've actually, in some elements, taken over that lead of who's the leadership, because it's amazing. And I had to support you today because you've been supportive, not just to myself, to our members as a whole. You've shown the way, you've dedicated your time, your energy. We're all human. You knew what it was like to take the mask off and to have one on. And so here you are, exposed out there in public. I want to draw to the only man on here today, listening to your incredible story. We talked about you earlier, and the comment that I would like for him to say what the comments were. So please, Mr. Adrian, crime prevention, please tell us repeat what you said to me earlier, really, about Farisai. I would appreciate that.
Kerry, you did well because
Angus, hold on a minute, Angus.
You did well. You read in my mind. I said we have only one man, and he doesn't say anything. Oh, bravo, 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 Kerry.
Angus, just bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to bring the gentleman over so you can dwell on him. Go ahead. Go on, Adrian, please.
Thank you, Kerry. And hi, Farisai. Congratulations on getting your book out there and joining the platform today. The comment that Kerry is referring to is, we were talking this morning about coming on here today and the questions that we were going to ask and how we were going to interact with you. And she asked me, she said, what do you think about Farisai? What do you know about Farisai? And I said, oh, I follow some of her stuff on Facebook. And then I went, oh, literally. But I then said to Kerry, I also follow Farisai on Black Chat, which is true. We exchange messages sometimes, don't we, Farisai?
Yeah.
But what I said, the comment that she's referring to is that what I noticed is that on Black Chat, you started to place pictures and images of yourself, very elegant and glamorous, you know, as if you had stepped out of your shell and you're saying, right, this is me, this is who I am, you know? And I never mentioned it to anybody, just literally this morning when I was speaking to Kerry about it, but the stark contrast between your Black Chat page and the Facebook page. And it's just my own thought process, because that was a question that was asked of me. But congratulations to you on taking that plunge and getting as far as you did. And listening to your story as well, there are certain elements of your story that I didn't know until you spoke this afternoon. So all credit to you. And if I could I ask you one question? How did you end up dealing with the police and the authorities after you had your accident, where you say they took you to the hospital, and because they didn't think you were a citizen, you know, they sent you home? How did you resolve that?
It's still a sore spot for me, because at the time I had a lot going on. After the accident, while I'm dealing with the injuries and with the struggles to get admitted, I also had a boyfriend who then sexually abused me while I was like that, and police got involved from that angle. It was just too much for me.
Okay.
And so I was advised that you could take it up, make a claim, and I attempted to engage 3 different solicitors, one in Wales, one here where I am in the West Midlands, and one I actually communicated virtually, who was supposed to be based in Essex, I think. And they all told me that, oh, you will never win your case against NHS. Oh, they have money, they get the best solicitors, and so chances of you winning this case are next to zero. One of the solicitors actually said to me, I actually don't believe this happened.
Right, okay.
And so I then thought, you know what, this is just too much for me. I'm gonna put it aside.
Okay.
And deal with what is priority to me right now. And that was recovering and getting on with things. And that was me writing this book and opening people's eyes to even the realities of some of the treatment that we get out there. People think abuse is only related to physical, sexual, but there are subtle abuses that nobody talks about. And I personally believe that phase of me dealing with NHS was abuse. I believe that. Maybe I can't afford a solicitor that will help me win that case, but I'd like to put it out there, I was abused by the system. And the most painful part of it is I'm a nurse. I qualified in 2007, and I've saved lives since in this country, never asking questions, never judging anybody. But when I found the one time since I qualified, the one time I needed NHS, it let me down.
Sure.
And they continue to let me down even now. I mean, like, moment I've been dealing with long COVID symptoms, and it seems like I now have a reputation with my hospital because I fought them for 2 years. Don't want to know. I'm basically having to cope with my own situations on my own, and I think it's wrong. But anyway, I guess to answer your question, I haven't really done anything about it.
Okay.
Disabled to do.
Yeah,
do anything about it.
Yeah, I asked because, you know, to hear that for the first time, as I've literally just heard it this afternoon, you can't believe that you would be treated as such, and it would force one to ask questions as to why you were treated. Surely, not because they just didn't believe that you couldn't pay the bill. It's not something that you experience here in England. If you have an accident or somebody calls the police and say, oh, somebody's just been run over outside, the ambulance come and they take them away and they deal with them. It's not like in America where you get checked in first. Do you have insurance and so on and so forth? So I found it quite alarming to actually hear that somebody here in the UK, and it happens to be you, has experienced that, you know?
Yeah, well, can I just say one thing I can say about that whole situation? You know, in hospitals, you have these curtains that they put so that people, you know, like when they're treating you, when they
Yes. Privacy screens. They're called privacy
they
screens,
close
yeah.
the curtains so that everybody does not see what's happening to you. The stupidest thing that happened that first day when I was refused admission was a consultant was called in, a surgeon was called in, it was a nurse, and another person, I think it was a doctor or something, I don't know. 4 of them having a conversation about me. They closed the curtains and they're standing on the other side of the curtain where I was, and they're talking like about me, like I can't hear them, and they're saying things like, oh, who is going to talk to her? Who is going to explain to her how bad this is? And I don't think she will understand. Like I can't speak English, already making these assumptions.
There's a bias there.
And worse, to make matters worse, they said, oh, you know what, she's one of those people, and one of the 4 said one of which people, and he's like the hard to reach community.
Do you find it indirect?
I opened the curtain and I said, I can hear you, you know that. And then they're all like, one walks that way, one walks that way, one, until I was left with one person. And I said to him, I'm a qualified nurse, so you need to be very careful what you're going to say from here onwards. I heard everything that you just said. And he was like, oh, I didn't say it. And I said, it doesn't really matter. You're a team.
But you're a part of a collective. You stood there and heard that. Yes, you're part of a collective.
Yeah, I said, you're a team. I heard you say these things. Anyway, this maybe gives you a perspective as to what I think.
Yes.
The reason why I was denied admission. I don't think people should be treated that way, really.
No. Well, what I would say to you on that note, Farisai, is congratulations once again anyway. And that fight there is maybe a fight for another day when you're good and ready, if you choose to take that on.
How I coped with it is, you know, like I said, I talked to myself. I philosophized it, and I told myself that this whole thing is being left to the worst side of it so that I'm properly pushed into doing what I need to do, and so that I don't take a shortcut into getting where I need to get to. And why I shouldn't take a shortcut is that so that I can understand all the things that, or as much things as possible, that happen to people out there. Because while I was recovering, I realized that my calling is help people recover from trauma. And if you're to help people the best way possible, you need to understand what they're going through. You need to understand where they're coming from. And if you don't understand, you need an experience that makes you so open-minded that you would be willing to open your ears and open your mind to what they are saying, how they're saying it, and so get what they mean, not what you think they mean. And that was part of the whole process. Maybe at some point I might pick this issue up, because it's another area that I think needs to be addressed. It needs to stop. People shouldn't be treated like that, period. But up to the level of recovery that I needed to get to, I think the timeline had to be that way, if that makes sense.
Thank you, guys. I think on a positive note, what you're saying is pick and choose your battles at the right selection, because for me, it is about the healed road to recovery. I'm just going to keep putting your book out there. Don't know who's left. Who's there? Please, that's not our guest. There you go. The healed road to recovery. What you're saying is I can relate to those journeys of where you feel that is a little bit of indiscrimination, injustices along the way. We do have to pick our fights and think, hold on a minute, which is top priority? Do we invest in this fight, which is going to take days, paperwork, challenge, whatever? Or do we focus on oneself and achieve the book, which is what you've done clearly? And so therefore, the more you go on, the more strength you'll get, and the more where you've identified, no, this is wrong, I'm going to do something about it. Because you're going along your journey, you're empowering yourself and others to speak up and speak out. It is saving lives. I want to say, Farisai, to have you here has been a privilege. To have everybody ask questions. If anybody else wants to ask a question before we go, you know, Fiona, thank you so much, because Fiona's new here, is listening on this, and we're taking her under our wing as well here, and anybody else that wants to be a part, we're here to see people through their journeys, from trauma to recovery to discovery. This is where Farisai is today. She's on the discovery angle of it, but let's not get it twisted. We're human beings. We've still got each day to go through, but what the lesson I've learned out of all of this is that everything is possible. You can achieve. No matter the trauma, no matter the journey, you ain't letting any perpetrators claim you and hold you back. And I think that's the remit of today's discovery, is that speaking out saves lives, support saves so much more. Just put your hand up if you have a question, otherwise we're going to just
I think Fiona wanted to say
Fiona,
something.
please, my darling. Go
well,
ahead.
thank you for letting me sit on it. It's really interesting. It was that book sounds amazing. I will get that. I'm still in the process of being sort of affected by people because of my past, and I do feel like it's holding me back. I've had a few conversations with Kerry. She's helped me through a few tricky situations where I've been triggered by things, and Kerry's been very, very kind, and I've had a few conversations with her. She's been amazing, really. But to listen to your story, it's very inspiring, and you're a very brave lady. I will definitely buy that.
Be about being part of something, Fiona. You know, it's about like all of us together. Like Agnes, I hope I meet you again, and Cynthia, and these lovely people that are on here. It's about being a part of something. And when we came together, we saw children within one another. We're children still growing, even though we've got this big arterial shadow that we look like a woman. We see in people's eyes that we're a woman, but deep down we're those kids that are just undoing the binds and coming to life. So not every day. Rome is not built in a day, they say. But these challenges of even coming together, being on the same platform, meeting, sharing, knowing that you're not alone in this, seeing someone from on the floor to actually flying their blinking wings now. I have to say, let's all support it. I have to say, that was a mind over matter, Farisai. And we have to pick you up. So thank you so much for your interview and being here today. So hold your best smiles out, people. Thank you so much. And remember, if you want to purchase the book, please do purchase the book. Healed Road to Recovery. You can get that on Amazon. Is there anywhere else you can get that at the minute?
At the minute, it's just on Amazon. I'm working on having it in some bookshops, but it's a process, as I've learned. I thought it was just, you just say yes, 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 and it goes. But apparently, it's a process as well. And I'm going to get an audio version of it done. But yeah, it's on Amazon. Somebody has done me the favor of sharing the link.
Thank you, Lorraine, for putting the link in here.
So if you're keen to get it, you could save that link. It will take you where you can purchase it. Can I just say, before we finish, that life is a journey. Only God knows how long that journey is. And I suggest to people, make the most of everything that comes your way. You are the driver of your life. You decide what you take in and what you don't take in. You decide when to fight, when to stop, when to pick up the fight again, but never ever give up on yourself, because if you do, the whole world will give up on you too. And as Kerry has said, I've gone from being down there to recovering, to self-discovery, but my ultimate goal is to thrive, and I can almost taste it. And not just that, I really would like anybody I come across to start to see that picture of thriving, because I think we were all meant to thrive, not just survive or battle or be fighting to rise above something. This world is for us all, and there's enough space for each and every living person, and so you should thrive.
On that note, we're all going to get our signatures and say thank you so much. All right, hold your best smiles out. Farisai, Road to Recovery, you know where to get this book, Healed Road to Recovery. Amazon, as we said. I know I've got my purchase. Listen, I've still got my card here. It's like I got my card. So thank you so much.
In 2 years' time, it's me.
Agnes, and you're going to come back and give us a live as well, Agnes.
Yes.
Come back and tell us how you got the book. In actual fact, I think we're going to further talk more behind the scenes with Farisai about setting up another workshop and coming a part of, whether we get together here and have a session and then start implementing little bits. That's a start to recovery in that process. So your history is well and truly left. You will find this history not only on Facebook, guys, that you participated in this today. You'll find that on the Mind Over Matter Gives Back. You will also find it on the Mum Project. Remember, Mum's the word. You look at those wings. Yeah.
Mind over matter.
And you can also visit the YouTube channel, like and subscribe. And that is Mind Over Matter Suicide Prevention. And like and subscribe. And you can also visit the website, which is www.mumproject.co.uk. Where's that Susan? She's gone as well, hasn't she? She must have lost connection. But I want to say, Farisai, you know where to get her book. You can find her also on the community hub, which is the Road to Recovery. I think, please, Road to Recovery.
It's Community Integration Hub. That's the page. And then Road to Recovery is the group. Road to Recovery, I started it. It was where I was crying all the time. I was doing live videos crying, looking for help. And I did get the help that way. So yeah, if you need help, get it whichever way you can. So they're both there, and we're going to share the video on those platforms. Yeah.
I'm going to just pop up the scene, hold your best smiles. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Lovely. What a fantastic interview. That was with Farisai, talking about her book, The Road to Recovery. So, Kerry, what did you think about it?
I felt that the fact that people came to support Farisai shows that she's a good role model, shows that she's got great leadership skills. She wasn't alone, so people did care about her, and they did care about the success enough to come out, probe on questions, take something from it. When you hear other people, they might have come in late and may not have got themselves into the recording at the time, which is fine, but we welcome those later on. But what we found that there were women, there was men and women there, but there was women coming in later on and saying that her book has actually made them open up their eyes to their own issues, and so they were able to sleep. That was the last compliment we had. They were able to sleep better through reading her book, knowing that they weren't alone in the world. And I think I'm looking forward to the book, and we're transparent and honest. I've not read her book yet. I know parts of Farisai's story because she's interviewed me and I've interviewed her. I've seen her struggle, as you know. But when her book came out, I was like, come on, man, I got to get on there and go get it, ain't I? So I ordered it.
Yeah, I wanted to read it too.
And I think, you know, it's not about money. It's about, do you want a piece of her legacy? If you read a book, would you want people to buy your? Of course you do, because you want people to understand where you're coming from. I think that my wish here is that her mum and her makes peace.
100%.
And I think that's my final wish. So
what it is that can bring that back, that relationship back, then above all else, it will be worth it. So like you, I hope for her that comes together.
I do too. I love your top. Where did you get that from?
We're matching. So you can find the.
I've already said it. I said it earlier. You can get it. Just go to the website www.mumproject.co.uk and you can order your t-shirts there. It's a mind over matter. But Dalu, it was incredible the support we had. Now, I'm not actually going to begin to say some of the countries that were.
Wow, we travelled the world in
Zimbabwe. Where were they? Zimbabwe.
Something. Malawi.
Guinea something.
Guinea and
Leicester. Was it Leicester?
Glasgow.
Scotland.
I think. We were just like global.
We're being around the world now, yeah. We find our baby. It
was lovely. Really
I think, thank you very much. So I'll leave you to sign out then, please. Yeah.
That's been an interview with Farisai, and you can find it on the Mom Project. That's Mum for Suicide Prevention Awareness. You're laughing at me.
No. You see what Louise is doing? She's learning interview skills. What Louise is also doing is she's learning what we do. What Louise is, look, there's people coming back. We finished the interview and people are waiting to come back in the waiting room. Look, we just had a lovely message from Fiona. Thank you so much for inviting me to join. I do want to get involved with the project. I really think it would help me. Please tell Louise if she ever needs advice or help with. I know this is on my Facebook, so I'm not going to go back to that. Yep. I think that was incredible today. Thank you. Hold your best. She's not looking.
She's not looking.
Thanks to Farisai. More on her book, Road to Recovery. Fabulous interview with her today, and her rundown, the difficulties, the elevated moments of actually completing it, and we say congratulations on that. What do you say, son?
Education.
Yeah, education.
You heard them before they took their last words right here. Education. Get that book. You know, Healed Road to Recovery on Amazon. Thank you, guys.